Chocolate has been a special treat for centuries. Nowadays, chocolate is the world's most favorite sweet, and life would be unthinkable without it. But until you can savor it melting in your mouth and the flavor unfolding, there's a long, indeed a very long journey. Our chocolate journey begins in South America, the cradle of the cocoa bean industry. Here in Ecuador, over 19,000 tons of cocoa are harvested and exported every year. For some years now, cocoa plants in Ecuador have been grown organically. Twice a year, the cocoa fruit is harvested by hand with a machete. After being harvested, the cocoa fruit is broken open with machete and the white flesh removed along with the cocoa beans, which are now stacked between banana leaves in special boxes and fermented at 50 degrees for 7 days. After we have loaded the cocoa into the boxes, we cover the beans with banana leaves to prevent them losing heat. The fermentation, a sort of stewing process, not only removes the bitterness from the beans, but also turns them brown and gives them their typical cocoa taste. After this, the beans are repeatedly turned over in the fresh air to dry them before they are taken to the storehouse. The cocoa beans are tested for quality before they are put into sacks. In the laboratory, tests are made on the size, consistency and content of the beans. The first quality control takes place in the country of origin. Only then the beans are packed into large jute sacks and loaded onto lorries. Once they arrive at the harbor, they are loaded into containers, ready for a sea journey of almost 3 weeks to Hamburg. Once they have arrived in Germany, the organic cocoa beans are taken directly to the chocolate factory, where they are unloaded for further processing. Just a few weeks ago, these beans were hanging on a tree in Ecuador. First, they are emptied onto a large conveyor belt and prepared for the initial stage of processing. The beans have to undergo very many stages of processing before the finished chocolate bar emerges. Here we have lined up all the components which are to be processed into chocolate, beginning with the cocoa beans. The roasting process turns them into cocoa nibs. The nibs are then reduced to a liquefied state by a special technical procedure, as you can see. The cocoa beans used for making Vivani organic chocolate are first roasted at a temperature of between 100 and 160 degrees. At this stage, we can already influence the final taste and aroma. After roasting, the beans are broken up in a special machine, and the shells that cannot be eaten are separated from the kernel within and disposed of. The ground cocoa kernels and further raw materials like organic milk powder, cocoa butter and raw cane sugar are now mixed in the mélangeur. A further significant step in the making of the end product, chocolate. Now we are in an area where the chocolate is kneaded like pastry in a mixer. All the components like cocoa butter, cocoa mass, cream powder and whole milk powder are simply kneaded together in this area. It's really very pastry-like. The mixture is then taken up to a twin rolling mill. The first pre-rolling stage refines it to around 200 micrometers before it is taken onto the next stage, a 5-fold rolling mill which refines it further to under 20 micrometers. The cocoa butter is softened by the warmth from the friction in the rolling mills. The end result is a gleaming brown mass which already smells like chocolate. Now we are in the conching room, the heart of every chocolate factory. This is where the chocolate is rolled even more finely until it is conched. This can take up to 18 hours in a conching process that keeps it in continual movement. The individual chocolate particles are refined and rounded off even further. The longer the conching process lasts, the finer the quality and the richer the flavor. In a modern chocolate factory, nothing is left to accident anymore. Every step in the production is exactly planned and programmed. High-power computers are now brought into action in order to guarantee a constant level of high quality. Everything is automatically weighted up according to a particular recipe and then mixed in the mixer. And when this has been completed, it is taken out. The chocolate mess is finally complete. Now other ingredients like hazelnuts or almonds can be added. Nuts and almonds are well-known ingredients in chocolate bars. In the shops you can also find choc bars with Rice Krispies and more recently pieces of fruit like frozen dried strawberries or cranberries. The chocolate is tempered at a temperature between 30 and 32 degrees to ensure that it has a fine glossy appearance when it is cold. It is then packed into bars. But before this process, small pieces of organic chili are mixed into the chocolate. The chocolate then proceeds on its journey through a long cooling tunnel. Around 25 minutes after it has been poured out, it is now being taken on its way to the packing machines. As we can see, the chocolate has an optimal glossy appearance because it has been kept at the right temperature. In the laboratory, some of the staff are busy testing the individual chocolate for flavor and consistency. Contrast whatsoever. Yes, now we've got to find a good layout for the wrapping. I'll have a word with our artist Frau Wessel and ask her to think up an appropriate design for our Art of Chocolate series. This is where the creative spirit behind Vivani chocolates lives. Annette Wessel from Castrop-Rauxel. She's a big chocolate fan herself and can't resist it even when she's working.
Enjoying a piece of chocolate really puts me in the right mood, because even colors have a taste and I've got to eat myself into them as it were.
Over the past few years, she has come up with unique artistic images for no less than 23 different sorts of chocolate, and each of them has its own particular story.
I've always got a specific flavor in my head, something like a piece of chili, a strawberry, or maybe associated with fine dark chocolate, wine. I could maybe put a bottle in the picture somewhere. Colors throw up so many associations.
Annette Wessel's favorite workplace is her garden. She gets her best ideas for form and color in natural surroundings. Here the staff in the marketing department at Vivani are giving their opinions on the different designs. The way the chocolate looks is important because this can be crucial in persuading customers to buy a new flavor. That is why it is equally important now for the marketing specialists to make the right decision. The organic chili chocolate is now wrapped in its artistic wrappers at an extraordinary speed, packed into shipping boxes, ready to be taken to the warehouse. Over 100,000 bars of chocolate pass over the conveyor belts every day. The boxes are piled up on Euro pallets and then covered to protect them during transport. The journey now leads to the high-rack warehouse. Here the chocolate is piled up on several levels waiting to be taken to the shops. The chocolate is now delivered to the shops. Over 20 sorts of Vivani chocolate are available for sale, most of them in organic supermarkets and shops. The attractive covers are displayed to their best in the special presentation racks. Now it only remains to unpack the chocolate, serve it up cold, maybe combined with strawberries, and savor it with friends to your heart's content. The cocoa beans have finally reached the end of their long journey.